Hey, I'm Adam, and I'm going to take these fun Pokémon models and put them in a fun diorama. Let's make somewhere new. These kits are really fun, simple, and rewarding to build, especially if you are new to the hobby. They don't require any tools or glue, and they only take a few minutes to build. I started by taking them out of their packages and removing the bits from the runners. These are the same as any other Bandai Snap Fit model kits, just a bit simpler. These actually pop out without the need for any nippers, but I decided to use them anyway because it's a little bit cleaner. It's a very satisfying build because the pieces snap together very easily and everything is very obvious as to where it goes. And if you're big on instant gratification, these are an absolute win. Since I didn't plan on painting them, I went ahead and put the stickers on for the ears, eyes, and their cute little feet. I used a silicone shaping tool to make sure that all the stickers were flush too. The Psyduck model was even easier and faster than Eevee, since it was one of their quick models and had even fewer pieces. Again, this was just as fun and even faster. If I weren't filming, I could have had this built in probably less than 3 minutes. I have ideas for a couple others that I really want to do by making them a little bit more complicated. So look forward to seeing some of those in the future. With these done, I set them aside to start working on their environment, which I guess was a little bit inspired by Pokémon Concierge, which I just watched with my family and enjoyed quite a bit. I used foam safe superglue and XPS insulation foam to build up the ground on a wooden base, and then carved away at the excess to build the basic shape of what I was looking for. I always had the models on hand to make sure that what I was making fit the narrative I was trying to build. I tend to use what I have on hand, and plaster was farther away than UV resin, so I used that to make some rocks in my Woodland Scenics rock molds, which I took outside to leave in the sun while I melted foam down with a torch. I glued these rocks down with more foam-safe superglue in places that helped frame the location. Then a mix of Mod Podge plaster and paint added some texture and rigidity to the piece while also bringing it into a very much a trust the process territory. I sprinkled on some dirt and rocks to add more texture, which I sealed in with isopropyl alcohol and watered down Mod Podge. Which locked down almost everything aside from a few of the pebbles. It was then time to bring out my amorphous flesh blob to make my typical disturbing wormy dealy and began sculpting a simple log shape, just to add a little bit more visual interest and to help sell the setting. Since this is a more animated look, I didn't hesitate to make very big, large, simple shapes. And I wasn't too terribly worried about fine detail. My only goal was to help sell the setting even more, to make it look like it belonged next to a very adorable Pokemon. Then I sprayed it with more isopropyl alcohol and brushed away all the excess with a soft brush. After gluing it in place, I built the area up around it with texture paste by Vallejo, making sure to smooth it out with alcohol and a brush again, and then added some more dirt to blend it all together. I quickly primed it black and then started adding some color to the piece. First, by adding a mid-tone gray to the rocks, a reddish brown to the log, and a more washed out brown to the dirt, just to add some separation. I used this opportunity to practice with the airbrush a little bit, trying to reduce the amount of overspray while making sure that I was hitting all the right spots. Since it's terrain, it doesn't really matter that much, since I'm going to keep adding layers to it. While I struggle here with a bottle of paint, why don't you check out my description below to look at my Patreon and affiliate links so I can keep doing cool stuff with my channel. And if you like what you see, please like and subscribe. You can see the frustration building. I dry brushed everything with lighter versions of the base coat color, and I wasn't subtle with this. I really wanted this to be bright and colorful, like the anime. I then added my new favorite mixture of Vallejo pigment powder, isopropyl alcohol, and water to add a more earthly tone and texture to the dirt area as it dries dusty but still pretty vivid. I added more contrast without sacrificing brightness by using a panel liner in the darkest spots of the rocks and the log. A selective oil wash would work well here too, but I'm out of white spirits. Watered down white glue was used as the base for my nemesis, the static grass applicator. After making a huge mess with this, I supplemented it a little bit with a sprinkling of mixed green flock to fill in the gaps a little bit. I added even more alcohol and white glue to add another layer to thicken everything up, but I decided I wanted to glue down the rocks in the puddle area, which was a mistake, because cleaning up all the grass that was in there eventually was a huge headache. It's very important you do things in the proper order. Then I cut some strands off this fingernail brush I borrowed from my wife to make some taller reed-like grass and sealed them down with UV resin. Then I added some fun-looking plants, which was pretty last minute, to add more eye candy to the piece, and sealed them in with foam-safe superglue. Again, I wanted more vibrancy, so I airbrushed a very bright green over the grass, and I also sprayed the plants a bit to cut down on their glossiness. Alcohol ink into some UV resin, which is not recommended, gave me a fun albeit unrealistic water effect, which I poured into in multiple layers, making sure to use the torch and sometimes the sun outside to harden it before adding the next layer. I've noticed that UV, either from the sun or the torch, doesn't always make it all the way through the resin if it's too thick. It's also self-leveling, but a quick spritz of isopropyl alcohol makes it go a little bit faster. I took it outside for one final cure before gluing Eevee into place, and then painted the base black. If you like the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to check out my Patreon for some upcoming behind-the-scenes stuff, a Discord channel, and even more. As always, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.